Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. I am Raylan with Twin Mama Budgets, and we do everything from cash stuffing to budgeting to my debt-free journey updates, and everything in between. Today we are going to be going over everything that I spent for the month of August. It was a really spend-heavy month. So I just figured, in order to keep myself accountable, we need to go over it. And actually, I'm really proud of myself. So we should send a round of applause because I actually tracked every single expense in the month of August. I have everything written down, from bills to groceries to eating out, all my subscriptions, and even miscellaneous purchases as well. So I'm real excited. I'm like, since I did all of that hard work, we need to look over everything that we did for August. So maybe I can create a better budget and do better with my spending in September. Maybe, I don't know. So yeah, so that's my plan. We're gonna go over everything, and as you can see, it's so colorful. Look how pretty it is. So I took every single expense, broke it down into the different categories, and I highlighted based on which categories it falls under, and that's how we're going to use it to add everything up and see what we did. Let's just get right into the numbers. Let's go. I just spent a solid 15 minutes recording, and I was going through all of my expenses with you guys and going through all of the categories and the numbers and adding them up, just to find out that my phone was out of storage. So I went to go clear the storage and find out that it never actually saved the video. So I was just talking to myself. So we'll start from the beginning. All right, so I added everything up, got my numbers, and then I was starting to put it into my overall spending diagram here. So I have my categories for rent, groceries, bills, gas, eating out, debt, spending, miscellaneous. I'll just quickly go over. So for rent, it was the $1,392 that was spent. And then, which that equaled about 27% of my spending. I'll tell you the number at the very end because it's a crazy number. I'm a little upset about this. Okay, so for my groceries, I spent $549.70, which equals out about 11% of my spending. And then the rest of my bills, so I took rent. Rent I count as a bill, but I just took rent off, and then all the other bills that I have, it will cost totaled up to $857.20. This was actually a bigger amount compared to what I paid last month because August school starts and my daughters are now in aftercare, and I have to pay $127 a week on aftercare. So that added up really fast. I pay over $500 for them to go to aftercare for the month, and then I have another $300+ worth of my actual bills. So that is why that number is like that, and that's about 17% of my total spending for the month. My gas came out to $154.53, which is kind of on the higher side because I do budget for my gas, and I budget $60 per pay period, so $120 a month is what I budget for. I don't like to see that a little higher because that means that the other $30 got put on the credit card. Yeah, we don't like that. That's no bueno. Eating out was $255.18, which was about 5% of my spending. And I also do not budget for eating out. So that's a lot of money to be spending when I'm not budgeting for it. So that also got put on the credit card. Debt payments I made this month was worth $472, which was about 9% of the total spending. And there's nothing crazy about that. I was able to make an extra $100 payment towards my Capital One credit card, and that was all thanks to selling some of my badge reels that I make to some coworkers at my job. So I was able to make some side income there, and that's what went towards making the extra payment towards my credit card. So that's exciting there. Spending. This is where I was kind of at. So spending was $454.79. That equaled out to about 9% of my spending. I was pretty much just kind of looking at where I spent my money most. Mostly was Target and some Amazon purchases. One of my purchases was this book. This is my TEAS book for me to take my TEAS test for nursing school. So I'm really excited because I'm getting towards the end of my pre-nursing journey, and I'm excited to get it rolling. I'm in my last prereq class this fall, taking microbiome, and then I will be able to apply for nursing. Hopefully I'll have everything done by end of January. The deadline is in March, so I want to be extra prepared, get everything submitted on time, like way before, so I don't have to be stressing last minute. So I got my TEAS test. I got my TEAS book, hoping to take the TEAS test this month. What I was also gonna say in my last recording was I'm thinking of doing like a separate channel that's geared towards my nursing journey, and just was gonna see your guys' ideas and see if like what you guys thought about it. If you think that would be like a good idea, people would watch that kind of content. Just kind of showing like my journey through like the prereqs of nursing, and then going into like nursing school, and like my journey to become a nurse, pretty much. I think it would be kind of fun to kind of watch and be able to, like at the end of the journey, go back and watch the videos and just see how much I've changed through the whole program. So I think that's like one of the main reasons I want to do it, is just for that kind of, I don't know if it would be like nostalgia or what, but just to see like that transformation happen. And then also, I don't know, like maybe other people who are gonna be going to the program want to watch that kind of content so they can see what it's like and see how they should prepare, whatnot. So just an idea. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think. Back to spending. So that made up about 9% of my total amount of money spent. Okay, so disclaimer, we're gonna go over my miscellaneous, and it's pretty high. there were quite a few big high amount items that were purchased that I put under my miscellaneous, and I'll explain why. So the total that I spent in miscellaneous this month was $907.02. What I spent this on: I had my tuition due for the fall semester, and I'm on a payment plan, and the payment plan requires at least a 50% down payment. So I think my total tuition's $596. So it was like $298, I believe, is what was owed. And then they added the fee on top of that. They always have their fees. So for my first tuition payment, I spent $343. But catch this. Okay, so that was on the 5th of August. All right. So then you have 2 more payments to make. They split the next half in half. So $149 is like the next 2 payments. Well, you would think, because that's a lot of money to be putting down in August, you would think that they would have like the next payment be due in September, right? So September and October, because I'm still going to be in class in October. No, they split the 2 months between August and September. So on the 5th, I put $343 towards my tuition just to pay another $149 15 days later. Like, what? Ma'am, how does that make sense? So 343 plus 149. I spent $492 in the month of August just on my class. And like I said, it literally only cost $596. But I still owe the $149 because they added their fees to the very first payment. So anyway, that was just frustrating. I've been doing this will be my 4th semester now that I've done the paying, so I know what to expect. It always throws me off. That was a major part of my miscellaneous spending. Another big amount that I spent was for my daughter's soccer registration. They started soccer this season, and it was $234 that I spent on the same day that I made my tuition payment. So that was a fun day. And it actually came under budget though, because it's $125 per player, and that's what I spent last season for both of them. But they had a sibling discount, so I was able to get some money taken off because of the sibling discount. So that was nice. But still, $234. Yeah. Another miscellaneous charge was I did get new contacts. I did have, actually, majority of my money that I spent on the contacts was from my Flex. I get like a Flex spending card from my work. So I had finished using whatever I had left on the card, which was $94.90. And then I owed just another $2.09. So I did just put that as a charge though, because that's what I spent in August. But it technically was from my Flex card. So anyway, there was that, then my tuition, and that was pretty much it. Yeah. It's a lot of money though. So let me go ahead and see how much, like percentage-wise, that we used from my miscellaneous spending. Let's see. So that's about 18% of my spending. And then the last category is my subscriptions. My subscriptions were $116.87. That is about about $30 more than what I was thinking, because I'm very thankful that I've tracked all of my spending and checked all my cards, because I actually found two subscriptions that I didn't know I was paying, and I was never putting in the budget. So I kind of got screwed over a couple times, because I leave all my subscription money on my account, but I usually, unless there's other bills that need paid, I take all the cash out of my account. And so I have usually enough to cover for those subscriptions. And if there's anything else added, like it just throws me off. So thankfully, I retract it. And so now when I make my September budget, I add those subscriptions in, or I can cancel those. We'll see what I do. If you guys do not track your spending, I definitely recommend tracking your spending. Another thing, because I have completely stopped spending money on this one credit card that I'm trying to pay off, and I do have notifications set up for my credit cards. When I use it, it'll send me a notification from the app, and then also it'll text me saying, hey, so-and-so was spent at so-and-so. So usually I just ignore it because I know that I just spent it. But that's how I found out that there was a subscription, because it got put on this other card that I'm not spending money on and I'm paying off. And it's very frustrating when you're trying to pay something off and then all of a sudden you see more money being added, knowing you're not spending any money. So I was a little like, what the heck? But I figured it out. Moral of the story is track your spending and make sure you check all of your apps. If you have 4 different credit cards, you better be writing down all 4 of your credit cards, all the expenses from each of those, because you just never know. Especially if you don't get notifications. I'm lucky I got notifications for it. So we spent $116.87 on subscriptions. That's about 2% of the total cost. So now it's time to reveal how much was spent in the month of August. And I'm telling you right now that I did not earn this much money in August. So a lot of this money was put on credit cards. So the total that I spent for the month of August was $5,159.29. That just hurts looking at it. That pretty much goes over all of my spending. Now I think I'm going to flip it over, the camera over, and then I'll color in my little wheel. You see here, it has like a little tracker wheel. So let me go ahead and turn it over. We're going to do some coloring now. Let's see. Thanks to my daughter's marker collection. Hopefully they work. Okay. So rent is about 27%. So we're going to start here. Each is 5%. So we have 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, and then we'll just kind of do like half to make 27. I think that's half. Okay, rent. Next biggest will be 18%, which is miscellaneous. We'll do orange for miscellaneous. So we'll just kind of do from here 5, 10, 15, 16, 17, 18. Yeah, that sounds good. My gosh, my daughter colors better than me. So this is 18%. This is 27%. Then we have 17% for bills. And we'll do bills pink. So 15, 16, 17. Then we have groceries at 11, which will be blue. So that was 11%, and this was 17%. And then we have, next will be debt and spending, which will get 9%. We have 5% for eating out. And then the 2 and 3% is just gonna combine here. So, I mean, it's not perfect, but I mean, we get the gist of it here. That is kind of my spending wheel. So now we're gonna move into the last questions here and then wrap everything up. So my biggest win this month, honestly, is I had finished paying off my car. That was the biggest thing. I've been so excited to finish paying off my car, and I worked really hard to do it, and so hard work does pay off. I am officially car note free. So that is my biggest win for the month. Did I meet my budget? Heck no. I did not meet my budget. I went over my spending amount. I didn't budget correctly for eating out or spending, and that caused me to have to use the credit card. So that's kind of something I have to look at, sort of. I might do a no spend in September. I probably should. We'll see. But no, I did not meet my budget. This is what I learned this month by tracking my expenses. Like I said but earlier, I ended up finding 2 subscriptions that I didn't know that I was paying for. So that was pretty enlightening. And then also just figuring out how bad I went over budget. Well, you can't really go over budget if you don't budget for it. But it just really shows like how much I went over with my spending on like eating out and even just my spending in general. So that's definitely something I learned. And what will I do within 1 month to improve? So now I am putting my subscriptions, now that I know that I'm paying for those subscriptions, I am putting those in the budget. So I won't be going over with my subscriptions amount there. That's good. Honestly, I think the best way for me to improve my spending habits, especially with eating out and just my normal spending, I think that I do need to do a no spend September. That will help reduce this amount for sure, and then also my spending. Those are kind of my next steps and kind of the overview of August. But for right now, that'll be all. And I appreciate you guys for sticking with the video. I'm sorry that it didn't really work out how I wanted it to, but I hope you still enjoyed it. And I hope, if anything, you learned something about making sure you track your expenses or not. Very important. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I will catch you in the next video.